All right, everybody. Happy Thursday. Welcome into our late week edition of Concrete Jungle, a New York baseball podcast here on FingerLakes1.com. I am Paul Russo. Happy you could join us here today. Kyle Evans with me as always. And Kyle, we're at the point where this is probably will be one of the lighter episodes we do, obviously. Yankees and Mets both eliminated. Rochester and Syracuse done. There's only a couple really major footnotes to kind of talk about, and then, we'll reconvene next Monday for the early week edition. We'll be, I guess, more than likely just kind of previewing the playoffs as a whole at that point. So welcome to what we call meaningless baseball here on Concrete Jungle. Kyle, I've been doing this week. Everything been good?
Yeah, it's been really good. The Yankee games have been pretty enjoyable this week so far. Three straight wins since we last were on the podcast. So other than that, yeah, it's a lot of meaningless baseball. I guess we're just rooting for Aaron Judge to get to 40, right? I mean, it's not really much to look at. So yeah, how's your week going?
Can't complain. Been busy around here. Been busy kind of watching baseball as a whole. I know the history buff in me loves kind of what we're seeing a little bit. I mean, Ronald Acuna, first 40 and 70 guy in history. That's kind of
Insane.
kind of crazy to think about, honestly. I know, right, the dreaded Braves, but, I mean, that's kind of a cool thing to kind of see. I mean, I don't think, especially the way things were trending the past couple of years, I don't think we really dreamt of seeing really even another 30-30 guy. I mean, not to maybe jump too far into this, right, but Francisco Lindor, 30-30. I mean, I don't think we were going to be seeing much of that anymore, and next thing you know, you got 30-30s. You have a 60-base stolen season with Stewie Ruiz out in Oakland. Obviously, Acuna with 40-70. I mean, I kind of like quote-unquote new baseball here at the moment. I mean, it's kind of the stuff I enjoy. But, yeah, I mean, from that perspective, it's been at least still a pretty eventful and fun week to at least kind of watch.
Yeah, a little more off topic, but then we're also seeing if the Braves can make history for the most home runs in a season. They're 4 shy of the Twins.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. I counted this morning. 9 players with 15 or more home runs this year.
It's nuts.
9. And their backup catcher, Darno, has 11.
Who, by the way, wouldn't be their backup if they didn't get Sean Murphy in the offseason. He'd be their starter.
Yeah, and he has, I think, 21. It's unreal.
Yeah, I mean, just...
And down 6-0 the other night, and they come back and win.
Yeah.
Down last night, come back and win.
Mm-hmm.
Relentless, as I tweeted out last night.
Yeah, I mean, Cubs shooting themselves in the foot a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, hey, if you're just a fan more or less of baseball in general, I mean, this is a good week to still behold here the final few days. So before we get any further, thank a couple of our sponsors today. DeSanto Propane. DeSanto Propane is 4 generations strong as a trustworthy family-owned business with unmatched customer service. Go online at DeSantoPropane.com for more information or call toll-free on 1-800-752-4574 today. Since 1937, the difference has been DeSanto Propane. And Blush by CV Designs. Blush by CV Designs is a local women-owned business in the heart of the Finger Lakes offering women's clothing and accessories, quality home goods, and unique gifts. See what everyone is talking about by visiting their location in downtown Saginaw Falls or browse all of their products online at shopcvdesigns.com. And I know Christine has done a really great job, got all the fall stuff out right now, and doing pretty good over there. So make sure you stop in Saginaw Falls for that. So as the train goes by, it's the perfect symbol for what the Yankees are doing here because on the heels of being eliminated from postseason contention over the weekend, Kyle, winners of 3 straight because, of course. And I guess we were both a little bit wrong here in our predictions for the week so far with them. But
I was very wrong.
But that'll happen from time to time. But I'll say this, and again, not to go too off topic for what we really talk about, but damn, is this Toronto team just look kind of despondent here down the stretch at a spot where they need to be competing? I mean, they're fighting for their postseason lives, and you're kind of hearing grumblings right now out of the clubhouse about the situation in there right now. It's an interesting situation up in Toronto with the Blue Jays at the moment. I'll be intrigued. They're going to be, obviously, it's one of those things we talk about anyway, but I'll be intrigued to see how that offseason kind of goes for them coming up, especially, right, if they do miss the playoffs at this point.
Yeah, they're kind of lucky right now because the Astros and Mariners played each other for 3 games, so they still hold the second wild card spot. But
speaking of interesting stuff there.
The Yankees are making it pretty tough for them because now I forget the Blue Jays are going to have to play the Rays after this, and the Rays are still fighting for first place.
Right.
So the Blue Jays, there's a chance they could not make it. So as long as the Mariners get rolling, and because they've been a little struggling. But yeah, it's been fun to see. Other than Kevin Gausman, their starter on Tuesday, it seems like their energy is just nowhere to be found. And it's crazy to me that the Yankees, who are out of a playoff spot, are more fired up than they are. I mean, Austin Wells hit that home run Tuesday night, way fired up, and none of these other players on the Blue Jays just seem like they're really into the game.
I mean, especially Tuesday night, right? The first game. I mean, that was the only offense for the Yankees, right? Was that Austin Wells home run, and then
Blue Jays had two hits.
Going to I was about to say, go into last night on Wednesday. I mean, 2 hits there, and I mean, Aaron Judge had himself a pretty good night, but
as always.
And I mean, to be fair, and this is something I do want to talk about here, right? I mean, Garrett Cole just goes out. Was it 106 pitches or 105 pitches?
107.
Either way, right? I mean, complete game shutout, 2 hits. I think the only surprising stat line portion of him was the fact that he only had 5 strikeouts, but he should win AL Cy Young, but if not, that was certainly a nice punctuation for the season for him to go out on that note and more or less, and frankly, just wrap up what's been about one of 2 or 3 bright spots on the Yankee season in Garrett Cole.
Yeah, that definitely should have locked it up. He allowed just 2 base runners, both of which were singles by the same player. I don't know if you knew that, yep. Brandon Belt.
Yep.
So he was
legend.
He was very pitch efficient, I think, through the first 6 or 7 innings, and then the counts started to build up late there, but he managed to get through it. And yeah, I mean, he just did this against a team that's currently in the playoffs, his final start of the year. If that doesn't lock up the Cy Young, then it's clearly rigged. Yeah. There's no way he doesn't win it.
Yeah, and he's been, like I said, he's been about 1 or 2, maybe 3 bright spots just consistently all year on this team. It's kind of funny. I hope this kind of puts to bed the final couple fans on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, still from Reddit or wherever, that we're still kind of clamoring for. Well, still hasn't lived up to his contract. Well, I think he has now to if you really want to nitpick still, Do want to talk for a moment too about Aaron Judge? Obviously, big day yesterday. You mentioned Kyle right now puts him at the footsteps of getting to 40 home runs on the season. I do want to ask you though. It didn't catch me off guard because it's something that we ourselves actually talked about on here before. But it was the first time anyway that I had seen photographic proof really of him with a first base glove and meandering about in the infield yesterday. What were your kind of maybe initial thoughts on that? Because like I said, it's something that we've actually talked about, but up until now we rarely, if ever, even really had seen this potential, potential deal coming together.
Well, as MLB.com's Brian Hoke said, he did do this in spring training back in March.
Right.
I think he was kind of doing it maybe for fun yesterday, but at the same time, I do think something's there. I do think eventually we could see him at first base. Obviously, Rizzo probably would come back, right? There's a team option? I thought it was
I thought it was hard to with the team.
Oh, okay. Okay, so he's definitely going to be back. But in the long term, I'm not really sure after that what they're going to do. So maybe they kind of once in a while plug him in at first. I mean, he can't be terrible. Look at what Bryce Harper did. They plugged him in at first, and it seems to have gone well.
And to kind of back that up, and it's weird that we're saying it with players the caliber of Aaron Judge, of Bryce Harper too, for example, right? But especially the case with the Yankees, a lot of the prospects coming up are either A, middle infield, right, or B, outfield. And it's weird that we're saying, like, spots are limited, but, I mean, maybe for the sake of his health, he's kind of thinking about maybe he should take up, learning first or at least being available to play first in a given situation.
And with, it's crazy to say, Giancarlo Stanton's still under contract until 2027. Maybe this is also a move to allow Stanton to play right field more.
True. His more natural defensive position.
Yeah, so maybe that's a possibility, but I do think it was more because we've seen jokingly Higashioka play shortstop before some games like last month.
Right.
Just outfielders playing the infield kind of messing around, but the way he was kind of doing it, it seemed like he wasn't joking.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe there's something to it. I'm sure Boone won't say anything about that, but maybe next spring training we'll see if he's there again.
Yeah, true. I'd be intrigued. Maybe we'll even see him Kansas City for a few for maybe
That would be
for maybe an inning or two.
Lineup comes
I
out
mean, why not?
Saturday and Judge first base.
Right.
Wow.
We'll get to more on that anyway in that series in just a moment because interesting stuff floating through the air about that series and the Yankees. Before we move on, though, one last thing I wanted to talk about with the Yankees, though, Kyle, was, as we know, there's going to be this third-party audit going on here starting in the next month. More than likely the end of October is the actual MLB season. That includes the World Series, wraps up. Some interesting remarks. We know that this was coming. This came out, I think, honestly, pushing over a month ago now at this point when it first kind of got talked about. But yesterday, admittedly, I forget the reporter off the top of my head, but it comes out that Hal is fed up with being runners-up, and there's going to be changes, but not until the audit comes, even though he came out before and said the audit's not going to have any personnel changes specifically, but also within that you had the quote again from Judge backing up Boone and how he has, I guess, more or less what I'll call direct communication with Hal about, certain things, and how we know how he feels about Boone to Hal, but we don't know about how he feels about Cashman to Hal. So I wouldn't say I left after seeing that with more questions than answers. I just think it was one of those things where it's like, I don't think something like that gets outright talked about unless in the back of Hal's mind, he actually is entertaining the idea of potentially, I guess, moving on from Cashman, to be honest. Now, do I see that actually happening? No, at least not yet, as much as I'd love for it to happen. But I admittedly do think that the gears are greased for potentially at least that door being open because of this audit.
Yeah, clearly this audit means that Hal Steinbrenner is finally being serious. Remember back in June, he didn't know why fans were upset. Well,
Right.
Now he knows why. But yeah, obviously Judge has defended Boone, as you said, but with the way some of his quotes have been, it kind of seems like he is kind of like pointing the finger at Cashman. The way he's kind of labeling his quotes. Like the one quote, he was like something about we aren't doing certain things, and that might just be because of the way the players are designed. Like, guys should just be moving runners over, not swinging for the home run. So it seems like he's kind of like blaming like the way the team is constructed without saying it.
Right.
Because, of course, he's not going to call Cashman out. I truly believe in his mind, even though he'll never say it, he wants Cashman gone, and he's fine with Boone staying. And I just, like you, I don't think it'll happen because, I mean, it's Hal Steinbrenner. He's been with Cashman forever. So if I get a tweet, though, in October, one morning, that Cashman's gone, oh, my God, it's going to be a party.
Well, what's interesting, too, is, and this part's funny. So I'm cleaning out some stuff earlier this week. I wanted to put in a new, bookcase in my room and stuff like that. And when I was in college my freshman year back in 2013, now this is going to be a key part in this, Kyle, I had bought, on my train trip back from Florida to Erie, Pennsylvania, where I went to college, in the layover spot in New York, I bought the 2013 New York Yankees media guide. At the time, maybe they still do it more locally, but at the time they had this thick. I'll bring it in. I forgot to bring it in. I'll bring it in on Monday. It's a thick media guide, right? And it gave you the people on the 40-man roster, the players, and this is kind of crazy even for 2013, but players who were invited to spring training as non-roster, coaches, staff, the whole way through, history and everything. And you kind of forget how actually long Brian Cashman's been, let alone GM, but in the Yankee organization. He was an intern at 19 in the minor league scouting department in the mid-'80s. And so in the back of my mind when I was looking at that again, I'm like, and you said it, right? Hal grew up with Brian, more or less, at the end of the day. And that's got to be, I can't imagine it's not an easy conversation he's probably going to have eventually, right? But I mean, I'm sure it's probably in the back of his head, and that's where it does make me wonder, like, if Hank were still alive. I mean, we know who would probably be handling that conversation. You know, Hank was more George than Hal, obviously. So it's interesting. I'm going to remember to bring that book in though on Monday for the media guide for you to see, Kyle. I feel like you'd be kind of astonished to see it, to be completely honest. It's a thick thing.
Yeah, 100%. You know how much I am to all the reading, the media stuff and stats and all that. But yeah, I'm trying to find the quote quick of Judge. The way he worded it just sounded like he was calling out the way the roster was built.
No, I know the one you're talking about.
I can't find. I know Talking Yanks. I'll find it and I'll let you know in a minute. But
Yeah, I know you talked. I remember seeing it too, but yeah, either way. Let's talk about a couple injury updates here. Not a super ton all the way through. Keenan Middleton threw a bullpen session yesterday, and it went well per Aaron Boone, so he is expected, even though he's obviously traveling with the team anyway, but expected to go with him to Kansas City. And it sounds like we'll see him activated at some point to at least get one more inning of action in on the 2023 season. And here we go with this. Frankie Montas. Although it would only be for an inning or two, there is a very big possibility that he will be activated for the Kansas City series. So as we predicted, Kyle, it's looking like we'll see Frankie Montas in a Yankee uniform in 2023 after all.
one word, disgusting. I don't see the point. I really don't. The guy's going to be a free agent. He's made 2 rehab starts. He hasn't pitched in a game all year, or he hasn't pitched in a big league game in 13 months, 14 months, or even longer. I don't even know the exact time. I just don't get why you're going to put him in a meaningless game in the final series of the year when you're not competing for any playoff spot. It's like almost like they're setting him up so the market can see how he pitches in one big league game this year. And maybe that's a Cashman call. I kind of do think it's a Cashman call. Because last week we heard Boone say, like, oh, no, he's probably not going to, like, we don't really have plans to bring him up. And now this week we do. And we're not going to do it, like, today or in this Blue Jays series. We're going to wait till the weekend.
Right.
I just kind of find it odd timing because his last rehab appearance was Sunday, right?
Yes.
So he's 4 days removed. And now they're going to wait until this weekend to put him in a game again. Mm-hmm. Just weird timing.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Definitely. So last one update here. Anthony Rizzo. He said he knows that he technically isn't, but he's on the verge of being cleared for full baseball activities, which is good to hear, obviously, but we know he won't be back, obviously, or anything like that this year. But good to see that Rizzo is near his 100%. And that's good to see, obviously. So for the Yankees, they wrap up in Toronto tonight, a 7:07 first pitch on yes. Luke Weaver officially will get the initial go-ahead here against Chris Bassett for Toronto. I guess I'll go Debbie Downer on this one, Kyle. I'll say the Yankees lose, and it is what it is. But, I mean, Bassett, Toronto's certainly number 2 starter all year against more or less a starter for the Yankees at this point, right? Probably expect to see a pretty big bullpen load for the Yankees today as a safe assumption. Kind of my leaning, I guess. And, I don't know, the Toronto lineup's just too good to just kind of be in this funk collectively overall right now. Especially, like we've said, they're fighting for their playoff lives. So I would go that route. I'm thinking Toronto gets the win tonight.
Sorry.
You're good.
I don't.
Really?
I know I said they were going to get swept before the series started. Something tells me that Luke Weaver's going 4 shutout, and Johnny Brito's coming on and going for 3, and then they'll turn it over to the high-leverage guys to close it out. And somehow the offense will do enough again. I'm feeling a Yankees sweep. I think the Blue Jays are going to be just devastated after this one.
Right.
And, man, I would much rather see the Mariners in the playoffs. Please, Yankees, keep knocking them out. So, yeah, give me Yankees sweep. I I'm not very confident with Luke Weaver, but I'm just trying to be positive. 4 shutout tonight. Let's go.
Yeah, how about that? All right, and then obviously we mentioned the Yankees head to Kansas City to wrap up the 2023 season. Tomorrow night, 8:10 first pitch on yes. Carlos Rodon, he'll be going against to be determined for Kansas City. Then on Saturday, a 7:10 first pitch on yes. Clark Schmidt against Jordan Lyles. And then Sunday, a 3:10 first pitch on yes. Michael King against Zach Greinke, who this might be it for Zach Greinke. I don't know, but
Well, it's 5.37 ERA.
and this 1-15 record.
That's unreal.
So I think the Yankees get 2 or 3 from Kansas City. Just kind of falling in line here. Not to say they won't really give a damn, but I mean I have a hard time believing that. I've a hard time believing that Frankie Montas' head pops up there in that series. He doesn't blow it somehow for the Yankees. So I'm gonna go 2 or 3 against Kansas City over the weekend to wrap up 2023.
I'm gonna say back-to-back sweeps.
Wow.
Close out the year. They already swept the Royals this year. Although Jordan Lyles, I don't know if you've seen what he did over the weekend, but he only allowed 1 run in 6 innings against the Astros in Houston. So that's just weird because his numbers are terrible. So I don't know why that game kind of concerns me. But I'm still going to stick with it. They already swept them. They're going to sweep them. And it's just going to make you think again when Sunday's over. What could this team have done if Judge never got hurt?
Right.
Because that would put them at, 86 wins?
Yeah, if they get all 4.
Yep.
Yeah.
85 wins, or 81.
No. Oh, yeah, 85, yeah.
And they're going to literally be 5 wins short of a playoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
Man, tough times. And they're 19-9 since August 28th, best record of baseball.
Yeah.
Even with losing that Diamondback series.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
How about that? All right, for the Mets, they have split with the Marlins so far. Ended up being a doubleheader yesterday on Wednesday. Tuesday got rained out. An interesting situation there. The Marlins not thrilled with the Mets, and justifiably so, in my opinion. Sounds like the grounds crew didn't get the tarp out in time over the weekend, I guess, and I don't know if that would have necessarily saved playing on Tuesday, but it's just not a good look overall, to say the least. But I thought Steve Cohen did the proper thing, took the high road, in my opinion, on it, as opposed to kind of some of the other quotes I'd seen come out from different other places around the league about it, and it is what it is. Like I said, I don't think the tarp being on it an extra hour over the weekend was going to make a difference the way it looked, but I could be wrong. I don't know, but it is what it is. Anyway, so they split with the Marlins. It's been an interesting series so far. It's been say more milestone type series for the Mets almost in a way with certain things. But I want to begin with what I thought was and I always say bizarre because something like this usually gets more, I guess, notoriety when something like this happens. But Joey Lucchesi, yesterday's starter in Game 1, who threw an absolute great game, leaves the field Tuesday after the game gets postponed. He gets in his Uber to travel back to his apartment or home, and he's sitting on the key part here. He's sitting on the passenger side, the right side of the Uber. There happens to be a police chase going on through Queens, and the police chase comes upon the Uber that Joey Lucchesi's in. I guess hits it flush T-bone style on the left side. Obviously, we're probably talking about a completely different story here if it was on the right side where Lucchesi was. Joey said that he's only been dealing with a little bit of back soreness, but nothing to really to force him to miss that game yesterday. But you want to talk about a completely crazy story that, to me, is not getting the talk about it probably deserves or justifies that occurred. But how extremely lucky, one, Joey Lucchesi is, and two, what an absolute dog Joey Lucchesi is going out pitching, because I'd imagine the back soreness is not just soreness at that point in a situation like that.
Yeah, I'm reading the story finally. He said, quote, "I didn't want to miss my last start," and that Tyler McGill picked him up. It was pretty wild. He said a lot of adrenaline out of nowhere. Yeah, wild little police chase in Queens, you know. But yeah, him to go out there against, again, a team fighting for a playoff spot and allow 2 runs in 6 innings. And then I think he had a good amount of strikeouts too. So, yeah, he's been pitching really well, and he's making his case to be on the roster next year. We'll see how that kind of unfolds.
Yeah, I mean, it's just nutty because, like I said, usually stories like that, I mean, they get picked up pretty quick. And this one was kind of, I'm not saying maybe thrown under the radar on purpose or anything like that, but like, certainly kind of crazy that it wasn't, I'd say, brought to the attention of people maybe sooner than later. I mean, kind of nuts to think about in that way.
Well, look at this. He finished the season 4-0 with a 2.89 ERA.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it interesting. Believe he's technically an outright free agent at the end of the year, so I think he's earned a spot to at least for the Mets come back and be in that rotation anyway. So I don't know. Let's jump to this one. Francisco Lindor yesterday joined the 30-30 club. 30 homers, 30 stolen bases. Kind of talked about that a little bit at the jump, and I know it's a big deal for Lindor, specifically because of he's Puerto Rican, being tied to Roberto Clemente. That's a stat line that Roberto was able to get to. And I know it's always a peg that Lindor has always wanted to get to. And, Lindor, it's been an up and down year, but I'd say consistently good, at least throughout. And seeing him, like I said, get to this 30-30 milestone is really impressive and really awesome to see. A guy like him especially, too, right? Good guy. Just a good player. I mean, he plays the right way. He doesn't leave anything out there. You know what I mean? He always is out there. He's going 100. So fantastic to see Lindor get to that 30-30 milestone.
Yeah, and how about the fact that he homered in the first game and then homered twice in the nightcap to reach that?
Right.
So he had quite the day on that doubleheader, and he was their only offense in Game 2 last night. If he got a little help, the Mets possibly could have swept that doubleheader. It was a 2-2 game until the 9th inning, so the Mets played well against the Marlins. I think they're 9-4 against them this year, or 8-4. They've been playing well against them, so we'll see how tonight goes.
Yeah, and then, to wrap up with that, Kodai Senga, in his last start, got to over 200 strikeouts, 202, which it looks like for sure that'll be it for him on the year, barring any last-minute shifts in the projected rotation for the Mets this weekend. His 202 leaves him in the top 5 for most by rookie all time, behind Hideo Nomo, Yu Darvish, and he's technically ahead of one Spencer Strider last year, even. So, pretty awesome stuff for Kodai Senga, who, in my mind, next year moves into being the true ace of that Mets staff.
Yeah, what was it? 202 strikeouts and 161 innings. So, just an incredible rookie season. I wouldn't say that was really. I mean, I guess you could label it as a question mark. We didn't really know what to expect from him. We knew he was, highly thought of coming into the year. We knew his success in Japan, but I don't think we really knew that he'd turn into be the Mets ace.
Yeah.
So, but that also is because of the trades that went down. But yeah, incredible year. He has a bright future.
That's for sure. Yeah. So look forward to that next year. Only one update for the Mets, and that involves Starling Marte. We will, in fact, not be seeing him this year. They have shut him down for the year and project out that he will be ready in time for spring training next year. No outright specific reason, but I'm guessing the fact that they were hoping to get the sim game in with him Tuesday at Citi Field. Obviously, weather got in the way of that, so kind of put an end to where they were probably really able truly to get him out on the field and do some activities in order to do that. So rather than risk it with 4 days left, they've just shut him down.
My prediction.
Oh.
He will not be a Met next season.
Okay.
He'll be traded. Don't know where, don't know what for what. I just don't see him part of this team next year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's played his last game with the Mets, and we'll see where it goes from there. And I don't know, how old is he? He's definitely older.
I think 33 or 34, yeah.
Yeah, so he's
maybe older than that.
Definitely has more time left in the league, but I think the Mets probably are going to move on from him. That's just my guess. But
he might be older than that even, too.
Yeah, let's see. He is 34.
Yeah, so.
And what's his contract? Does he have 1 year
I
left?
think he's got 1 year. I mean, he was linked at the deadline to be traded,
Oh, so that would be a
in
perfect
like the
opportunity.
Tommy Pham cycle and everything like that, and the Mark Hanna cycle. So, yeah, I mean, I could definitely see it happening. I think you're pretty spot on there, Kyle. To be honest, so. All right, so the Mets finish up with the Marlins today. 7:10 first pitch on SNY or MLB Network, depending upon your market. Jesus Luzardo against David Peterson.
Wow. Sorry to interrupt.
You're good.
He has 3 years left.
3.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Sheesh.
Yeah, they got to move him. They got to figure out a way to move him. You cannot go with this guy for 3 more years.
Right. Spotlight on you, Kyle. Who do you think wins tonight?
Marlins.
Okay.
I don't like David Peterson on the mound for the Mets tonight. I think the Marlins win the series, and they really, really need it. Although, are the Cubs going to collapse again and help them out like they did the last 2 nights? So, yeah, I like the way the Mets have been playing, but the Marlins, Luzardo's on the mound. They're going to win this.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a close game, though. I really do. But I think Luzardo's going to probably be able to go an extra inning or so. Marlins lineup still pretty good, and they need, like you said, I think a lot of it just comes out of the fact that they're still fighting for that playoff spot. I mean, they're going to be, I think, a little bit hungrier because I don't know if tonight's they're necessarily do or die, but they're on the doorstep obviously with only a few days left. So
Wait, let me ask you this one quick. Who do you want to make the wild card in the National League? What 3 teams? Obviously, the Phillies are making it. Who's the other 2 that you would personally want?
personally, Marlins and Reds.
Okay.
Although, to be fair, I wouldn't be opposed to the Diamondbacks. So,
Not big into the Cubs.
I mean, I don't know. I like what the Cubs got going, but I mean, it's been a rough couple weeks for them. Been a rough couple weeks.
Yeah, they're lucky to still be in the wild card spot. Well, they're tied, but
Kind of goes back to what we were saying about them actually, last week or week and a half ago? Like, good thing they had that 10-game win streak when they did.
did you see the stat this morning? The Marlins have a negative 58 run differential,
Ooh, that's gross.
and they're tied with the Cubs, who have a plus 99 run differential.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, that was tweeted out by John Heyman or something this morning.
What's
Unbelievable.
going on?
They have the same record, and one's completely different.
Oh, gosh. That's gross.
So, but hey, it's going to be fun in terms of watching baseball. Next 4 days, four days.
Mm-hmm.
These races. I mean, the AL East race and then this race. Some good things to watch.
Yeah. So the Mets then turn their sights to the Phillies as the Phillies come to Queens for 3 games over the weekend to wrap up the regular season. Tomorrow, 7:10 on SNY. Taijuan Walker against Tyler Maygill. On Saturday, 7:10 on your local Picks affiliate, to be determined against Jose Catana. And then Sunday, 3:10 on SNY, to be determined against Jose Buto. Not surprised that the Phillies are TBD there because they are locked in. With that being said, that's why I think the Mets actually win this Phillies series 2-3. I think the Phillies, because they're more or less locked into where they more than likely will be.
They can't drop down either.
Right.
Because there's not enough games left.
So I don't think
So, yeah.
they're going to go out and play right, but they aren't going to overextend guys.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So I think the Mets take 2 or 3 against the Phillies.
Yeah, I think the Mets take 2 of 3. I'll go with that.
Yeah.
I don't think either team gets a sweep or any of that.
Yeah. So obviously I mentioned, right, Red Wings and S-Mets are gone. There is one note to make, though. Unfortunately, the Red Wings lost one of their Hall of Fame members in Rourke Harrison. Passed away last week at the age of 76. Harrison was the ace of their 1971 staff. They went on to win the Junior World Series that year, which is the AAA World Series. He went 15-5 that year with a 2.81 ERA. Struck out 18 Toledo Mudhens in a game on July 12th, and had 182 strikeouts in 170 innings. He was inducted into the Red Wing Hall of Fame in 2001. Had a 5-year Major League career, playing for the Orioles and Braves, among a couple others. But Harrison, unfortunately, passing away last week at the age of 76.
R.I.P.
Yeah. So that will take care of Concrete Jungle 11 for today. Like I said, I mean, it's just light stuff this week. At the end of the week, it'll probably be a bit of a lighter stuff overall next Monday as well, but probably not all that way. We'll preview a little bit of the playoffs and stuff like that. But that will be pretty much it then for this week then. Kyle, weekend ahead. I know a lot of stuff going on, and you've been crushing it as always. I know we say it a lot, but you really do do hammer at home, especially this time of year. So I'm assuming for you, just continue on the coverage side of things and enjoying some baseball and football among other sports on your awesome setup.
Yeah, I've been turning on the NHL the
That's
last
right,
few nights.
preseason games going on.
Let me just say this quick. Sorry for the rant.
You're good.
The NHL preseason is better than any other sports preseason. I don't even really like spring training because the starters play 3-4 innings, and sometimes they'll go 6. But in the NHL, when guys are playing, they play the whole game. So that's what makes the NHL preseason, I think, the best sport to watch for preseason. So yeah, like I've been watching the Sabres. It's been fun. I'm just glad to have hockey back, and yeah, NFL games, of course, and Syracuse, and a lot of stuff going on.
There you go. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'll be at the Baltimore Browns game.
Oh, I was just gonna say, are you going to the Syracuse game? And I forgot.
I'll be in NFL territory this weekend. So
When's your next
forward to that.
Syracuse game?
That first home game in November because they're away all of October.
Wait, prediction: Clemson, Syracuse go. I'm sorry, it's a baseball show, but
It's all right. Look, here's the thing. I know what people might say. Paul, you're taking the homer approach. I don't understand how Clemson's a touchdown favorite. I just don't.
oh, that's the line. I didn't even know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it. Like, Clemson ain't actually that good, people. Like, I don't care.
Garrett Schrader gonna run all over him.
Hughes 27, Clemson 20. Let's go.
All right,
That's right.
5-0 start,
Yeah.
second straight year.
Yep.
They started 6-0 last year before they went on.
Yes.
Yeah. Who do they get next week?
Why not us? Florida State.
Ooh.
It's not a fun
I was
run
gonna
for
say, are
sure.
they gonna get back-to-back
It's-
6-0
it's
starts?
Home against Clemson this week, at Florida State, and then at UNC. It's not a fun 3 week.
All right, I don't think they're going 6-0 again, but
No.
hey, you never know.
Exactly. That's why you play the game.
Yeah.
So appreciate everybody for tuning in. We're on all the major podcasting platform, YouTube, which is where probably you're all kind of catching us right now. But hey, we're pumping out some of these clips and awesome stuff like that. So make sure you check us out over on the TikTok side of things, F1 Sports,
It's gonna pick up big time.
Insta, Facebook, all that fun stuff. Yeah. So Kyle, we'll see you next Monday. Everybody else, we'll see you next Monday too. Enjoy the weekend, everybody.